I believe that we do not want to recognize the level of poverty in this country, because if we did, it would be a national scandal. I am the daughter of a domestic worker. My mother cleaned houses growing up, and I grew up doing my homework on the stairs of other people's houses and on other people's kitchen tables and reading in other people's living rooms as my mother scrubbed toilets and swept floors to make sure that we had a better life. I'm also the daughter of a young business owner. And my dad, at the age of 29, had me and started a business at a very young age. And growing up, we struggled a lot. Right around the time things started turning up better for my family, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and he passed away when I was about 18 years old. Suddenly I was the daughter of a single mom. What we need to do is actually recognize the state of poverty in the United States. The current level of the poverty line is simply been calculated by the price of minimum dietary requirements times 3. The current poverty line assumes that you have a spouse at home full-time taking care of your children. The current poverty line assumes that you don't really have any significant healthcare costs. The current poverty line does not acknowledge geographic difference, which in a time when people complain and talk about how government does not understand the regional difference between urban, suburban, and rural communities, our poverty line treats all of these communities exactly the same. All of this is wrong. And even with that drastically mistaken number, even with that, by that calculation, today, 40 million Americans live in what the government recognizes as poverty. That's 1 in 10. 18.5 million Americans live in recognized extreme poverty, and 5.3 million Americans live in recognized absolute poverty. We must look at where our children live and what they need, because we cannot go another year with kids not getting food that they need, not losing parents because they can't afford health care. This is a moral wrong. And for children to lose their parents because they can't afford insulin or chemotherapy in what we proudly call the richest country in the world is a moral injustice and a moral outrage. Thank you very much. This legislation that I am putting forward along with my colleagues is literally just to recognize poverty in America. That's it. Just directing someone, agencies, to just measure the level of poverty in this country. It doesn't even direct us to expand social program. We're not even there yet. We're just talking about recognizing poverty, and there is resistance to doing that. Why? Why? I believe that we do not want to recognize the level of poverty in this country, because if we did, it would be a national scandal. And we will have to force ourselves to acknowledge that our systems have failed and that we are not doing enough by our own people in a democracy that is supposed to be by the people and for the people to serve the people of the United States of America, and we're not.